Hold it down.
Yeah.
For a while, that looked like an all-star game preview the way it was.
Yeah, it was. I say, sometimes you never know how the last game before the All-Star starts, and one team is going to be fast, one team is going to be lethargic. I think we had a little hangover from the game last night in Miami, giving up, I think it was 62 points in the half. But we managed to get ourselves under control and say, if we're going to get back in the game, it won't be our offense. It's going to be our defense. And these guys rose up gigantically in the second half to get us back in the game and eventually close it out. Made some big plays. We became the aggressor, and when you become the aggressor, you're going to get the cheap calls or the little calls, ticky-tack foul. We became the aggressor. Our defense came up to a different level, and we absolutely did a great job. And I thought that we had two of our players, our cornerstone players on our team, made gigantic sacrifices. Was getting ready to put Cousin back in, and he said, let Chuck Hayes stay in the game. That's gigantic for him. Tyreek Evans had a fabulous first half. Came out the game, didn't play in the fourth quarter, and simply cheered his teammates on. Now, that's the growth that I'm trying for our team to have if we're going to ever have a chance to be good and turn our franchise around. Two of our best players could have sat over there and moped and complained, but they saw what was happening on the floor and allowed those guys to close this game out and get a win for us.
We talked about two small guards before the game and what they can do to defense. What did Isaiah and Marcus do to the Wizards in that fourth quarter?
They absolutely did what they could do because they have the ability to make plays. Marcus also is a very, very good offensive rebounder. Sometimes I get a little frightened because he does that. But most of the time, a guy who's a good offensive rebounder, he goes to the glass. He pretty much comes up with him probably 8 times out of 10. But the two of them have the ability to make plays, keep the floor nice and spaced. Francisco Garcia was on the floor. Again, another guy who hadn't played much all year and got a chance in this game to help us win the basketball game. But those two small guards did a great job with their penetration and making passes to open players, which I thought was good for us.
Thomas was 1 for 7 at one point, and I think he scored all 4 of his points in the second half for a rookie to not get frustrated, I guess, and stay in it.
Well, we said all along, and I was talking with one of our guys today, that doing the whole process of trying to see if he was going to be a candidate for this team, he was one guy that was probably close to NBA ready that didn't look like a rookie. And he's showing that every single night that he's on the floor playing. But I think he didn't look to hunt. He didn't get frustrated because he was one, because he's still a point guard. So even if you're 1 for 7, you still got to manage the team. And I thought he did a good job of trying to manage the basketball team.
Like Marcus got off to a slow start, and then once Tyreek sat down, he just took off. Is that the type of thing you expect from him?
Yeah, because when one of those guys are out of the game, the other one has to fill a double duty slack. Both of them have to understand that when one guy goes out, the one that's on the floor can't be a passive guy on both ends. Can't be a passive guy and allow a team to either get back in the game or move ahead of us a little bit farther. When I take one of those guys off the floor, I want the other guy to almost do a double duty because he got to do his job that he has already and help cover the slack. And I thought he did that. Tyreek kept us, semi in the game in the first half to keep us in somewhat of a striking distance with his energy in the third quarter as well. Pick up the foul, that kind of changed the dynamics of the game. But I thought Marcus was aggressive. He wasn't passive. He knew he and Isaiah were going to be the guys handling the basketball at that time, and they made plays from there.
And Marcus isn't noted as a defensive guy, but like you put him on Crawford a little bit. Then that second half when Crawford had gotten really hot in the first half. What do you think about the job Marcus did in that role?
What I think with when a guy is not there yet as a defensive player how you want it, you give him an area of the floor where he must keep that guy in a certain area. And he did a good job of keeping him in what we call a forced down situation, of keeping the ball to the sideline. And I thought he did a good job, understood his scouting report, folks forcing a certain player to maybe a weaker tendency. I thought that was the key for him, paying attention to what his scouting report said to him and making sure that he did that job there. So as a guy that's not that defensive player out on the floor high, you need to focus on trying to keep the ball in a certain area and keep the player contained. And I thought those guys did a good job with that. Francisco at the top of the floor, not used to playing pick and roll defense on a smaller ball handler up there. But he did a good job of working off those screens.
The Wizards had 68 points in the first half, and you held them to 35 in total in the second half. Can you talk about what kind of adjustments you made at halftime or in the second half to limit some of the individuals?
Well, I just thought we had to play defense. That's all I said. You guys got to play defense. You play zero defense in that first half. If you just play some defense, you'll get back in the game. We just played defense last night against arguably one of the best teams in the league. And then we come out here and decide we're going to kind of do it with the offense. And the offense wasn't working because they weren't making shots. We were shooting a terrible percentage. But then when they geared up, and because they have the potential to do it, they geared up, the right combination was on the floor, and defensively, it became an offensive game for them because their defense created the offense for them.
How important was it for you, these guys, to get a win going to the break as opposed to going in with a
Yeah.
7-game losing streak?
Well, you look at when we got our winning streak, our winning 4 out of 5, we were doing the right things prior to that, and then we just weren't winning the games. The last couple of games, we were getting close to winning, and we didn't win the game. Tonight, it was important for us to get a win, to go home over this break, and not have to come back with all the world on our shoulders thinking we got to win that next game, because you don't know what kind of game is going to happen the first game after All-Star break. Just like you don't know what happened in the last game, you have no idea what the first game will be back. But it was good for them because they have been playing good basketball, and then tonight was able to do it defensively, and from a defensive standpoint, was able to close the game out and make some plays to win the game.
You think Isaiah enjoys playing top picks? I mean,
I just think that he enjoys playing basketball. I think he just loves the game. He has energy, enthusiasm. He has all the qualities of a young player or a point guard. Because point guard's got to be the guy that everybody loves. I just watch him before the game, and he's dancing on the floor out there. So those guys really like him, and I like what he's doing for our team, and I think our team is kind of liking what they see him doing as well.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.